Hello, so I hope this camera angle is okay and it's not a bit too shaky, but my tripod is currently set up because I was filming, or I am filming at the moment, a bullet journal video, so I don't really want to disturb the setup that I have going on, so I'm holding my camera at the moment and it's quite heavy, so my arm might give out and it might be very dodgy and I can't see myself, so I have no idea how this looks, but we're going to go for it. Today I'm going to be starting part 2 of my OWLs reading vlog. I literally just finished this morning the part 1, so that should be already up if you want to see that. I think my bullet journal video will be up as well if you want to see that as well, although I did just realise all the footage I have so far is extremely overexposed, so it might not even be usable, but hopefully we'll save it. If you watched my last video, so part 1 of the OWLs, you'll know I mentioned that I was going to swap some of the books that I'm going to be doing in my TBR for shapeshifting, which is, hold on, let me just double check. So for Transfiguration I had to pick a book or a series that includes shapeshifting, and for that one I did pick Angela Carter's Book of Fairy Tales, but I decided to actually switch that out and do a different book for that prompt, and the reason being, again, if you've seen part 1 you'll know I started this very late into the month. It was about halfway into the month before I actually started doing this. We were very behind schedule and I have managed to read 3 books for it. I have another 3 to go. It's very late in the game. It's the 25th of April and there's 31 days in April, I want to say. So we've not got long to go and yeah, I just felt like I wasn't going to be able to get anywhere near a big enough dent into this one. The book I have switched out for actually does have 200 more pages, so maybe reverse logic, but this is a short story collection and it just looks a little bit more dense than the one I've switched out for, so I think it would just be slightly harder to get through, and it's more a book that I want to pick up and then put down just whenever I feel like it, just to read one of the short stories. So I feel like I'll probably read this better over a longer period of time, so I've decided to switch that out for Black Leopard, Red Wolf by Marlon James. So this is an African inspired fantasy. I think it uses African mythology and African history, so I'm very excited to have this, or to read this finally. I've had it for ages. From what the blurb says, oh how funny, I just read the blurb and it says it has language as powerful as Angela Carter's, which is the book that I've just switched out for. Lol. So we're going along the same lines apparently, but yeah, I don't know really what this is about. I think I've read the first like 5 pages and it was quite weird from what I imagine, or from what I remember. We'll see how it goes. I'm not currently reading that though. I did pick up Mansfield Park at the end of the last vlog, if you saw that, and okay, I'm gonna reverse what I said again in the end of that vlog. I said that I tried to read it with the audiobook and I just didn't get on with it. I couldn't kind of follow along with it without reading alongside it, and even that didn't really work, so I just was reading it as a book. But because I read the first 40 or so pages myself, I kind of had a standing for the characters. I understood who the characters were and the names and everything like that. So when I was doing my bullet journal I decided I'll try once more the audiobook and see how it goes, and actually it was fine. It was quite nice to listen to. I'm going to listen to it a little bit more as I finish that video and that spread that I'm doing. And I'm currently on page 99 or 98, so actually I've read quite a bit, or listened quite a bit today, so I'm feeling very much more confident. Is that a phrase? Is that English? I don't know. About this, and you know what, it's quite a nice story. It's not my favourite Jane Austen so far. Her characters are very, you know, funny again. You've got that kind of over the top, self-centred characters that you have, like Elizabeth Bennet's mother, and that kind of characters in this as well. They're not quite as lovable as Elizabeth Bennet's mother. I can't remember her name. Fanny isn't the kind of main character, that's the main character's name, sorry, I'm not being rude. She's not quite got as much like kind of interest to her as the other characters do, but I think hopefully her character development will improve that, so we'll find out. But I think I'd maybe be actually slightly bored if I was reading it, so yeah, listening to that one and we'll see how it goes. So I'm going to go back to bullet journaling and I'll go back to that now. do a little update. It's currently Sunday and I've been listening to the audiobook of Mansfield Park pretty much all day as I've been doing thumbnails and editing and stuff like that. So I'm about halfway through and it's not proving to be my favourite. It's quite slow. There's not really any characters in it that I particularly like. I don't think the main love interest is actually that interesting, and I don't think the main character's all that interesting. I think she's meant to be like this really lovely, nice character, but they're not always the most interesting to read about. I'm glad I'm listening to an audiobook because I probably wouldn't read that much of it if I wasn't, because I just kind of put it down and like faff on my phone a lot. But it could change around. We'll have to wait and see. I did decide to pick up, because I kind of fancied actually physically reading something, the Black Leopard Red Wolf by Marlon James, and I've literally just read the first chapter, but I wanted to come on here because it's really weird. So, as I said, we've only read the first chapter, but already there's been domestic abuse, murder, quite a vivid sex scene that is quite crude, not gonna lie. It's rife with mythology and kind of folklore and stuff like that already, and not gonna lie, I have no idea what's going on. It's written in first person. That's normally something I wouldn't necessarily like, but I think it's used here more as a literary technique than just a preference of how to write a story, because the first chapter is spoken, well, he tells 3 stories to this inquisitor person. So I'm assuming he's in like a prison, that's what it's coming across, but it's not explicitly said. And he speaks to them in the you form. So he clearly has responses that you don't hear. It's not like a conversation, like there's no dialogue or explicitly like quoted dialogue. It's all just like within the prose of the text. And he answers questions from the inquisitor, which you don't know what they are. So yeah, it's definitely weird. It's a weird format. I wonder if it's going to continue like that, or that's just kind of the introductory way it's going to go. But I'm not sure. I shall let you know how it goes. This was only a quick clip, but yeah, going to continue reading, see how it is in chapter 2. Okay, so it's the next day and I'm about to get stuck into Black Leopard Red Wolf. I promise you I have moved since last night, since I'm in exactly the same position. I just looked on Goodreads hoping to get a little bit more of an idea of how this book has been received, any tips people had for reading it, because I tell you, I'm not even that much further than I was yesterday. I kind of gave up. I don't think I even finished chapter 2, but it's weird and I don't really have any, there's just nothing to ground you at the moment. Like, I have no idea what's going on. Even like, it's not like just the story he's telling it is odd, like I don't see how it fits into the narrative, but I don't actually understand different stories he's telling at the moment, so I'm incredibly confused. On Goodreads it's just a complete mix of 1 stars and 5 stars. Basically, there seems to be no really in between, or people DNFing it. And then one review said this is not a book that you can read easily or without full attention. So this maybe wasn't the one to pick to try and speed up my reading for the end of this month, but I'm gonna try and power through. I haven't read any more of Mansfield Park, but I don't feel worried that I won't finish that before the end of the month. And the other book is the smallest book. It's only like 70 pages, so even if I hadn't read this by the last day, I'll just stop reading this and read this. Yeah, it's not looking good so far, but I mean, I literally am only like 21 pages in, so I need to give it more of a go. One of the reviews said that at the start they felt really disconnected to all the characters, and the whole way through they did, but they were crying by the end. So maybe that'll be me. Tuesday. I had a little bit of a brain fart yesterday or the day before, like, I don't know, over the last few days, because for some reason I thought I was on plenty of time to finish all my books by the end of the month, even though I'd gone on here and I'd said I only have 5 days to finish my books. For some reason I thought I was way on time. yesterday I decided to recalculate because I've only got 3 days, including today, before the end of the month, which is a lot less time than I thought I had, to finish all my books. I need to read 75 pages of Dr. Jekyll and Mr Hyde, 188 pages of Black Leopard, Red Wolf, and listen to 2 hours of the audiobook of Mansfield Park every single day. Well, apart from Dr. Jekyll and Hyde, that's just 75 pages. To finish it all. And I just don't think I have that time. I don't think that's possible because I still have uni work to do every single day because it's now that time of year where I have a deadline every week. So I don't think I'm going to finish my OWLs, but my new goal is finish Mansfield Park, finish Dr. Jekyll and Mr Hyde, and get over 50% the way through Black Leopard, Red Wolf, because then at least the majority of it was read in my OWLs, and then I feel like I can count it towards my OWL. That's my new plan, new goal. I assessed the situation, it wasn't going to happen, so I've made a new goal. So yesterday I did get to page 82 of Black Leopard, Red Wolf, and it has improved. I'm happy to say it has improved. About halfway through chapter 3, it started to become like an actual fluid storyline instead of just random sentences that just didn't make sense and stories that didn't make sense and everything just like being all jumbled and messed up. So that's good. It's not a very fluid prose, if that makes sense. I think that's just his writing style. He is also the author of A Brief History of 7 Killings, which is, I think, a Man Booker Prize. Maybe that's just his style. I haven't read that, so let me know if that's what that book is like as well. But I don't think, because of the way it's written and because it's kind of that not fluid prose and like, just, I don't know if I can connect with the characters very much. It's definitely, for me, feeling more plot driven and kind of world orientated than character orientated. That might just be me because I can't feel like a, I don't know, an interest in the characters just because of the way the writing style is. I feel like it's a little bit of a barrier for me. But obviously I'm only 80 pages into a 600-page book, so we've got plenty of time to change that around. And then I did I did listen to a few more chapters of Mansfield Park, so I'm currently on page 348, so we've got about 200 pages left of Mansfield Park as well. Yes, that's 6 hours I think on the audiobook it said. And I think my plan is now to do uni work, get that done for the day, and then I think I might read Dr. Jekyll and Mr Hyde today, just get that done and ticked off, and then just power through the other 2 books. So I think that's my plan, because I don't really want to get too far into Black Leopard, Red Wolf, have to stop anyway and read that when I don't really want to stop, whereas at the moment I'm okay to pause because it just came to the end of a kind of section. So yeah, I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to make some breakfast, do some uni work, and then read for a bit. So it's later in the afternoon, it's about 20 to 6, so it's later than I thought it was, but I thought I'd just give you an update. So I've been listening to a little bit more of Mansfield Park. I'm on page 420, so we are making our way through, and I have to say I'm enjoying it a lot more than I thought. It's a slow burner. So this follows Fanny, who is a girl who's a little bit boring, I'm not gonna lie. She doesn't have that much to her, but as you go on you kind of realise she actually sees a lot more than initially comes across, because there are 2 other characters in this, brother and sisters, Henry and Mary Crawford, and everyone kind of sees them as these amazing people, and she kind of sees them a little bit for what they are. And they're not the nicest people, they're kind of a bit scheming, they got a bit of a nasty streak to them, really. Obviously it's not like, they're not horrible people, but they're not as nice as everyone's saying. So she does seem to see people as who they are, and her family aren't very nice except her cousin Edmund. So, you know, she's a bit more clever than initially kind of is portrayed, I think, and as you read on you kind of get that. But there is a bit of a twist in the romance. So originally, obviously the romance is kind of set up from quite early on in the beginning who she fancies. It's a book of unrequited love, I think. There's 3 characters who are in love currently. All of them don't love each other back, or the person it's not reciprocated. So yeah, I've changed my mind actually from who I wanted her to be with at the start, and it's obviously hard not to talk about it without spoiling it, but I did not expect to change my mind at all, because I really didn't like this character, and as it's gone on I think actually he would be better for her than who she potentially loves, or who I originally thought she was going to go for or end up with. So yeah, I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying listening to it on the audiobook just as I kind of potter around. There are bits where it's a bit slow, like they try and put on a play and that just felt like that went on forever. And then like it definitely could be shortened down, but I think a lot of classics they do like to go on. So that's just, you know, part of the charm you have to like. So yeah, I'm enjoying that. I did read 25 pages of Dr. Jekyll and Mr Hyde and then I stopped, and I'm not gonna lie, it's because I had a nap. So sorry about that, I did nap. Essay writing makes me tired. So I only got 25 pages in that, so I still have 50 pages to go. I think I'll leave it. Oh no, I probably should finish it today. Yeah, I think I'll power on now and get through that, and then later on I'll start reading Black Leopard, Red Wolf again and see how that goes. Dr. Jekyll and Mr Hyde isn't how I thought it was going to be. It's not from his perspective, which I assumed it would be, but you know, interesting. Obviously it's very short, so I'll have an update with you very soon, probably in about an hour's time or something like that. So there you go. So the lighting is horrendous, but it's getting late in the game. So I just finished Dr. Jekyll and Mr Hyde. Took me a little bit longer than I thought. It's now 20 to 8, so I'm only going to have probably an hour worth of reading before I stop for the evening and have dinner, because that's when my mum gets home. Yeah, so I think this would be good for people who like The Picture of Dorian Gray, Frankenstein, that kind of thing. It has very similar vibes with the challenging scientific development and the moral kind of questioning that was around that time of what makes someone evil, what makes someone good, what do we have inside us, like are we all part evil, all part good. Like there's a very grey area, and kind of delving into that grey area between what makes a person and their soul and that kind of thing. I think out of all three of them, if I was going to recommend one, my favourite is The Picture of Dorian Gray, just because I liked it. I can't really remember why. I read it so long ago now. But I do think that was my favourite, so I would recommend that one. This one is really good because it is super quick. It's quite easy to read, and it does have those interesting kind of topics. It is a short story, but as I said, this follows mainly actually a lawyer who is the friend of Dr. Jekyll, and it slowly gets revealed as things unravel that his friend Dr. Jekyll isn't very well, and then it's revealed that he's actually been taking these potions that he's created. He's obviously a doctor, and those potions mean he changes into his worser self, his self that kind of is all decrepit. It's like he's like more stout, more short, he's uglier, he's kind of all crooked, and like his evil shows in his looks is the kind of idea I think that it's going for. And he obviously has a much more evil mind, so he does all these horrible things like walks over a child and stuff like that, which is, you know, not the greatest thing in the world, but there you go. That's kind of the story of it. Like, it's 75 pages long, it's not very long at all, and yeah, I think I gave it 3 stars just because it wasn't bad, but it wasn't my favourite. I think it's definitely interesting, and if that's something that interests you about the period, then definitely go for it. But I'm just going to spend an hour reading Black Leopard, Red Wolf and see how far I can get in that before tomorrow, because then we've only got 2 days of owls left, which is scary, so I should get reading. So it's the final day of owls, and this is my last check-in of the vlog, and we didn't complete it. So yeah, I didn't finish owls. We knew it was going to happen. I didn't even finish 50% of Black Leopard, Red Wolf, but I'll get into that in a minute. I did though finish Mansfield Park by Jane Austen. That's upside down. I listened to the last bit of this today, and I have to say it was a very dramatic ending. I didn't expect it to turn so dramatic at the end. I don't know what I would say. I wouldn't necessarily say it was a romance, even though it is. Like, it's clearly the premise of it, but the romance, the main, I think, romance, or what's meant to be the main romance, isn't reciprocated until the last like 2 pages where it's all kind of like nicely rounded off in the final chapter, where everything kind of gets summarised and put into a nice little box with a bow on the top. So yeah, it was a weird one. I did enjoy it. The last like 50 or so pages I think was probably the most interesting part throughout it. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think I'll give it a 3 stars. It's definitely not my favourite Jane Austen, but it's not the worst book of that genre that I've ever read. It was nice. It was lovely to listen to, and I'm glad I listened to it on audiobook. I would have perhaps not have liked to have listened to it the way that I did, because being at home, there's not really much time where I listen to audiobooks or need to listen to audiobooks. The only time is when I'm really doing like thumbnails and things like that. Otherwise I would have been listening to it like walking to uni or walking wherever I used to walk to. Whereas I think that would have been better and I'd listen to it maybe more fully, whereas at home I was trying to do other stuff or just finding things to do so I could listen to it, which is perhaps not the best way to listen to it or the most engaging way to do it, but it was fine. I had to do it for OWLs, so I did finish that, and I only got to, let's see, page, not very far at all, I don't even know if I'm in the frame, 160 of Black Leopard Red Wolf, so we're quite far off our 300 page target, but that's fine. I'm going to be honest with you, I'm really not feeling it at the moment. I will still continue on with it, but I think I'm going to read something alongside it, just because it's quite dark, it's quite like mentally taxing to read, if that makes sense. I think if I get the dust jacket, so I'm not sure how well you can see it on here, but if you look at a picture online or something, obviously you've got the red wolf here, but then all the other creatures are kind of mismatched and jumbled up and not very clear, and they're kind of like bits and pieces. And I was looking at that cover and I thought, actually that's quite accurate of what the story's like. It is very mismatched, it's jumbled, it's not very coherent. It is coherent, it's just very, you have to really focus on it when you're reading it, especially the first 2 chapters. I probably would have to reread them again now that I've read a bit further to get kind of more understanding from them, but I'm still not sure I would actually understand them completely. It's just very dark, there's no lightness in it at all. Like there's no kind of parts in it that lighten up so that make the darker parts easier or anything like that. It's quite crude, like the sex references in it are very, like there's no romance in it at all. It's very just, I don't know. It's just quite heavy to read, and I think I just need something at the moment a little bit lighter. The weather's gone all horrible and I'm struggling with essays and stuff like that, so I just think it's not potentially the best thing for me to be reading at the moment. So I'm not going to push myself to read it today. I think I might pick up something else or just have a break from reading. But overall this has been like the best reading month I've had, and I've really enjoyed myself doing, this is the second readathon I've done this month and the second one I've actually done in full, so yeah, I really enjoyed myself this month. Oh yeah, I was going to do a wrap up of what I did pass in the OWLs and what I've failed. So if I can get the little slip, let's see where I put it. Oh, I just ripped my reading journal instead. I put it in here for safekeeping and now I've lost it. Okay, I have no idea. No idea what OWLs I passed. I'll have to look it up, but I'll get back to you on that. I'll maybe put a little thing up the side to say which ones I passed and which ones didn't. You probably can't see me because I'm backlit now. There we go. So yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you've had a nice day. I hope you've enjoyed this vlog, and I shall see you in my next video.